welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We got Octavia White here, Raymond Lyons, Ricardo Dudley Jr. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr., and welcome to Season 9, Episode 1. Got a lot to get through this week. Octavia, you're very, very fun division. And how were you last night on Pins and Needles during that very exciting, riveting game with all 17 points that was scored?
As you guys know, I hate when my team plays on national televised TV. This is the type of stuff that we get. But all in all, it was a good week for the Eagles in the NFC East. Not so much the rest of the NFC East. I guess outside of the Cowboys with the fact that they didn't play this week, but they did not play this week, and I'm not sure if we'll get into it. I feel like I always predict things that we'll talk about later in the show. But of course, the biggest news with them, with their defensive player, Marshawn Kneeland, who tragically lost his life last week after scoring a touchdown in the Monday night game. So that was really heartbreaking to see, to be completely honest. It really touched my soul that something like that happened that quick. So just wanted to make sure we send out a lot of prayers to his family, fans, everybody that's affected by it. And just remember to make sure you talk to people, check on your strong friends, and just make sure that, we remember that, we're human beings. And we want to make sure that we help each other as much as possible. But on to a lighter note, the Philadelphia Eagles did play against the Green Bay Packers last night on Monday Night Football. They defeated the Packers 10-7. Jalen Hurts was 15 of 26, 183 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 carries for 27 yards. Saquon Barkley had 22 carries for 60 yards and 3 receptions for 41 yards. And Devontae Smith had 4 receptions for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. On the other side, Jordan Love was 20 of 36 for 176 yards, 5 carries for 28 yards. Josh Jacobs had 21 carries for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. And Christian Watson had 2 receptions for 45 yards. If you can't tell by the score of the game, it was a defensive battle the entire game. We know that the Packers defense has been formidable for the majority of the year, especially, of course, they added Micah Parsons to start the year off. But the Philadelphia Eagles also recently added some key defensive players, although Jair Alexander did not travel with the team, so he did not play in this week. And I believe Michael Carter II was mostly on special teams. But it is clear as day that Vic Fangio knows exactly what to do with Jalen Phillips after their time in Miami together, and he was everywhere. It was just, he actually made an immediate impact. I think some people wasn't sure if he was going to play. He started. Again, obviously the familiarity with Vic Fangio probably had something to do with that. But again, immediate impact. He had 6 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits, and a fumble recovery. And he was in on the 4th down stop with Josh Jacobs. Key piece. Also knowing Nolan Smith came back in this game. Nakobe Dean was everywhere. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis were in the middle, mucking it up as well. Dory Jackson's still doing the Dory Jackson things on the outside. I'm waiting to see how much time it's going to take to get Michael Carter II up to speed. Jacorian Bennett also is just off of injury reserve as well. And Jair Alexander, we'll see what happens with him as well. Because Adoree and then Keeley made a boneheaded play on special teams as well that caused a big penalty. It's just not working out. But Quinyon is doing still Quinyon things. He had an amazing day as well. So the defense was really everywhere. But on the opposite sides for both teams, the offenses were not impressive. I still, for the love of me, I'm trying to just act like it didn't happen. I don't know what this call was or 4th and 6 with the game on the line that now all of a sudden we want to acquiesce to A.J. Brown trying to get the ball. I didn't understand it. Luckily for them, they were able to overcome it in that situation. And the Green Bay Packers tried to kick a field goal at the end of the game, but it was way wide right. Obviously the offense still has a lot to get together. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are going to say, especially in this game, because, again, the Green Bay Packers defense is good. It's not like they did this against a team whose defense is not good. The Green Bay Packers have held their last 4 opponents to 17 points or less. And they've lost a lot of those games as well. But I mean, they're a great defensive team. So to come out and do what they needed to do, I mean, you only had to hit a couple big plays, and it was the first time I think they said in Monday night, first time in Monday night since 2009, where the score was 0-0 at halftime, which was kind of crazy. But they finally broke through in the fourth quarter. Saquon Barkley hit a a home run with a 41-yard rush up the sideline. And then that was followed up by a 36-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith, who is always there, it seems like. So that then gave them a 10-0 lead. They did come back. Josh Jacobs scored a touchdown as well. But then, like I said, the defense just really carried them at the end and just held them out. And that field goal, granted, it was a very cold night, windy night also in Lambeau. And also McManus was nursing a hamstring injury, so it wasn't an ideal situation for the Packers. Eagles escape, whatever you want to call it. This is the third time they beat the Packers in the last 12 months. So seems like they have their number. But the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have another nationally televised game, just great. They'll play Sunday night against the Lions. The Lions will be coming to the Link. I think that's going to help as much as it possibly can, because we did just see what the Lions did to this next team. So the Lions just played against the Washington Commanders. It was bad. It was real bad. The Commanders was at 22 and the Lions 44. Marcus Mariota was 16 of 22, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 carries for 22 yards. Lil Bill, 11 carries for 30 yards. Chris Rodriguez Jr. had 6 carries for 16 yards and 1 touchdown. Treylon Burks, haven't heard of him in a while. I think they just elevated him off of the practice squad, but he did have 3 receptions for 58 yards. Deebo Samuels, 4 receptions, 29 yards and 1 touchdown. And Ben Sinnott, 1 reception, 4 yards and 1 touchdown. On the other side, Jared Goff was 25 of 33, 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs had 15 carries, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 30 yards and 1 touchdown. Jamison Williams had 6 receptions for 119 yards and 1 touchdown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown had 5 receptions, 58 yards for 1 touchdown. The Commanders' defense is just so bad. It's hard to say if they're bad because they're bad or if they're bad because of attrition and injuries or what. I just think it's all of the above at this point. Of course, the injuries aren't helping them, even though I believe most of their injuries are on the offensive side. It didn't help them that Daron Payne decided to slap Amon-Ra St. Brown upside the head and get ejected in the game. So that didn't help on the defensive side either. The Commanders allowed Detroit to score on its first 8 possessions and gave up 546 total yards, averaging 8 yards a play, which is just wild. They had blown coverages, missed tackles, no pass rush. They just couldn't do anything. To be honest, Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams combined for 291 yards and 4 touchdowns. Just proving how bad their defense was for the Washington Commanders. This was Washington's 5th straight loss, dropping them to 3-7. They have now lost 4 consecutive games by 20-plus points. A feat matched only twice in the last 35 years. Opponents have averaged 38.5 points per game since week 6 against the Washington Commanders. I don't even think it's worth mentioning what happened on the offensive side, because it doesn't matter. Season's over. I know that there was talks that I don't know how much talks it was, but Jaden Daniels did avoid ligament damage in his non-throwing arm, and there was talks that they were not going to put him on injured reserve. I don't care what you do, just don't put him on the field, because there's no point. It's no point. Let it go. I know it's week 10, so they still have 7 more weeks to go, and it's going to be tough to watch it for 7 more weeks without Jaden out there. I'm already regretting the fact that I have tickets to their game on the 20th, because I'm like, is there really anything to see at this point? But here we are. And to make matters worse, they have to fly all the way to Spain and play the Dolphins on Sunday in Madrid. Now, I will say before what the Dolphins did this past week, I was not looking forward to this at all because just two not really good teams, but maybe the Dolphins will do something. I have no expectations for the Washington Commanders at this point. Again, like I said, the Cowboys were on a bye. And last but not least, we have the New York Giants. They played against the Chicago Bears and they lost to the Bears 24-20. Jackson Dart was 19 of 29, 242 yards, 6 carries for 66 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy Jr. had 14 carries for 71 yards, and Darius Slayton had 4 receptions for 89 yards. On the other side, Caleb Williams was 20 of 36, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 carries for 63 yards and 1 touchdown. DeAndre Swift had 13 carries for 80 yards, 5 receptions for 18 yards. Kyle Monami, I can't say his last name, so I'm not even going to try. 7 carries for 28 yards and 1 touchdown. And Roma Dunze had 6 receptions, 86 yards and 1 touchdown. The Giants. The Giants led 10-7 at halftime. They extended their lead 20-10 in the third quarter. Jackson Dart looked good. He completed 19 of 29 passes again for the 224 yards. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. And they said becoming the first quarterback in NFL history with a rushing touchdown in 5 straight games. Shout out to him. But they can never keep it going. The turning point, of course, in this game was Jackson Dart had a concussion late in this game. He has been assessed for his 4th concussion this year already, which is crazy because I don't think he played in the first 2 weeks of the season. So basically in half the games that he's played, he has been evaluated for a concussion, it seems. It was just bad. The hit also caused a fumble recovery by Chicago. Russell Wilson, of course, had to come in, and then the offense just stalled at that point, which then allowed the Chicago Bears to come back. The Giants were outscored 14-0 in the fourth quarter, losing 24-20. It was just bad. It was so bad to the point that the Giants relieved Dable of his duties this week, so he has been fired. Mike Kafka will take over as the interim coach. I think, I don't know if we'll get into it, but I think it's very interesting that Joe Shane has stayed and Dable has left. I could have sworn they were a package deal at this point. But hey, I don't know what John Mara is doing. I don't think he knows what he's doing as well. So it's just tough to watch, for them in that situation. It's another week of them blowing a lead. Their defense, again, like we said at the beginning of the season, looks good on paper. It's not always translating into what it needs to. It sucks because Jackson Dart was a big spark for them. Scatterbo was a spark for them. And then they also, with Malik Neighbors going out. And the thing about it, Jackson Dart is doing well enough with the likes of Daniel Bellinger and Theo Johnson and Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson Jr., Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy Jr. He's doing everything. So obviously he's going to have to learn how to slide a lot better. I know Caleb Williams had an issue with that last year as well. And I think they were on Hard Knocks this year, and or one of these years, and they showed him out there on a literal slip and slide, learning how to slide. Jackson Dart is going to do something. I know earlier in the season, I think they interviewed his mom, and his mom said she's been telling him the same thing. So I don't know who needs to get through to this kid. That he's not big, again, not bigger than the program. You will get knocked out, and it's going to keep happening. So hopefully he gets that together because we don't want him to have continuous concussions. I would hate to see him go down, unfortunately, the tour route, because even the hit he took in this game, you could tell he was out. He laid there for a minute, and I hate to see him, lose the ability to really play the way that he plays because he can't protect himself. It might be not ideal, or it might not feel like what you need to do in that moment, but you need to protect yourself. Especially with the game they have coming up. They're going to play against the Packers this week, and Micah Parsons is everywhere. That's also if he clears concussion protocol. And will we see another Russell Wilson sighting? Who knows?
From the NFC East to the association. Ray, what you got for us?
Man, oh man. I got the 1-10 Washington Wizards. They've obviously been struggling a lot. They played since last time we saw you guys, they played the Boston Celtics last Wednesday. I had a home back to back against Cleveland and Dallas on Friday and Saturday, and played Detroit on Monday. They were 0-4 in those games, and that has concluded a 9-game losing streak. I mean, it starts and ends with defense for them. They're giving up 130 points a game, and until something changes on that end, the losing streak is going to continue. We've seen CJ McCollum come alive the last few games. He's had 25, and 42 against the Pistons. That was his season high. But with that, you would think if when he's getting that type of output, that would they would be able to win games, and they've been in position to win games, especially the last two. But they've completely imploded in the last two full quarters. Last night was the more inexplicable of the two. They were up by 5 points with 14 seconds left, and still managed to give that game away. We talked about it at length on Wizards Outlook. The last play of the game was just confusing. Just looked like Bub kind of just took his foot off the gas and got too lax. And Dennis Jenkins, who had a career game, caught the ball, hit a game time three. His time expired, and then Detroit just kind of handled business in overtime. Losses like that with a young team is trying to find themselves. It wears on you mentally, and what we're just seeing from them is just a lack of composure and lack of execution. They were up in the fourth quarter against Dallas as well, and the Mavericks kind of turned up their defense, and the Wizards just weren't able to respond. The looks they were getting early in the game, they just couldn't produce them at the same level, and they weren't able to come away with the win. That stuff's got to change, man. They gotta figure it out. You shouldn't need to be dependent on CJ McCollum at this point to have out of body experiences offensively to just put you in a position to win. Sarr, he's been consistent, but he needs help. They need to rebound as a team. He's down there battling for his life, and the other guys are just standing there watching. I don't know if they need to have one of those players only meetings where some things get called out, but that's just unacceptable, especially with the size, length, and versatility they have on that roster. The wings can get in there and help rebound, but yeah, man, something's got to change for them. They're in a massive slide right now. To have 10 losses already at this point is crazy, but it's the Washington Wizards. They'll be playing Houston tomorrow at Houston. Then they'll be back at home against the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. Those are two teams, again, with size and athleticism. And, if they don't buckle down and get tougher on rebound, it's going to be the same result. So, yeah, man, we'll see if they can right the ship in some form or fashion. But, at this point, early in the season, they're definitely struggling. And, yeah, we'll just have to see if they can turn around.
Cardell, on the hopefully happier news in the college segment, hopefully something a little bit more pleasant around these parts.
Yeah, for sure, man. George Washington in a thrilling top 100 showdown in Connecticut, the Mohegan Sun Arena. They defeated South Florida 99-95 in the Amateur Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off. GW seized control with the 10-1 run late in the first half to take a 44-40 lead at the break and stretched the margin to 12 early in the second. Though South Florida rallied to tie the game twice, GW responded each time with clutch threes from Trey Dinkins and Trey Autry. Dinkins, to gain transfer, buried back-to-back triples to make it 89-81 before sealing the win at the line as GW went 8 of 10 from the strike down the stretch. Dinkins led GW in double figures with 22 points off the bench, while Autry, named game MVP, added 16 points and 7 rebounds. Rafael Castro chipped in 14 points in limited minutes, with Boo Boo Benjamin and Tyrone Marshall scoring 13 apiece. GW shot 55% from the field, 130 or 41 from the line. And they managed to beat South Florida with Josh, hope I don't butcher his name, Omajafo, scoring 33 points, a game high 33 points in the game for South Florida. GW will face Crosstown Foe, American, NCAA tournament team from last year, tomorrow to begin a 3-game homestand. By the way, George Washington is 2-0, and American is 1-1.
Over to Maryland Terrapins. The women had a very interesting start to a game this past Sunday against Georgetown. We learned a lot about them. Maryland trailed Georgetown by 10 with a minute to play in the third quarter. The Terps started the final frame with a 14-2 run to keep their unbeaten season alive. So they were down 6 heading into the fourth. Addie Mack was with a hell of an introduction to the hometown fans. She came alive in the fourth quarter. She scored 17 of her 23 points in that fourth quarter. And it started late in the third with her getting going, her and Leah Bartelma. While they didn't shoot the ball well for 3 for most of the game, the Terps did hit 3 of their 5 threes during that stretch. And then, if you look at the box score later, it looks like Maryland just handled Georgetown. It was business as usual. And that's far from it. Took a crazy run in the fourth quarter. Georgetown was led by Kai Miller's 18 points and 3 steals. And then Cody Heston scored 14 points. Those two were outstanding for Georgetown for much of the game. They didn't really tail off until that fourth quarter when just the wheels came off for Georgetown. It was because of Maryland's press that the wheels did come off. But in that third quarter, one of the reasons Maryland wasn't able to sustain a run, Heston hit back-to-back threes during one stretch. Maryland got it to 4, put it right back to 10. They cut it within single digits again, and then Miller hit a 3, or she got to the line. So Georgetown did a hell of a job. They just couldn't sustain it, and a lot of it was just the ball pressure. Their coach, Coach Haney, talked about kind of the difference was he wanted their guards to do a better job of rebounding, where we saw in the fourth quarter, Maryland's guards did a great job of coming down to help rebound. And they had, you guys know how we talked about that 28 offensive rebound number last night in that Pistons game? Maryland had 22 offensive rebounds in this one. And that went a long way. That's one way to make sure you get back into a game. Maryland was led by Addie Max 23. Leah Bartelma, another freshman, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Aluchi Akanawa added 11 points and 6 rebounds. She also had a block and a steal. Izzy Ozzy Mamadou had 10 points and 7 rebounds. For a more in-depth breakdown, head to our channel to see the full Terps recap from this game. Maryland has 2 more home games this week. Thursday against Towson and Sunday against Princeton. Cardell, what you got for us in Take It or Leave It?
Yeah, we're going to start with kind of on a somber note. Hall of Fame player and head coach Lenny Wilkens passed away Sunday at the age of 88. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver released a statement. Lenny Wilkens represented the very best of the NBA as a Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame coach, and one of the game's most respected ambassadors. He influenced the lives of countless young people as well as generations of players and coaches who considered Lenny not only a great teammate or coach, but also an extraordinary mentor who led with integrity and true class. Wilkens had an illustrious playing career that spanned 15 seasons from 1960 to 1975. Played for the Hawks, Supersonics, Cavaliers, and Trailblazers. Wilkens, a talented playmaking guard, was a 9-time All-Star and led the league in assists in both the 69-70 and 71-72 seasons. During the later stages of his career, Wilkens became a player coach in Seattle and Portland. He would later become a full-time NBA coach and won a championship with the Sonics in 1979. His coaching career lasted even longer than his playing career as he coached a total of 32 seasons in the NBA. In addition to the championship in 1979, Wilkens was named Coach of the Year in 1994 when he led the Hawks to a 57-25 record as the number 1 seed in the East. No coach in NBA history has overseen more games than Wilkens, 2,487, and he's third all-time in wins with 1,332 behind only Don Nelson and Greg Popovich. Octavia, we're going to start with you, man. What are your thoughts on, the legacy and just the impact of the late great Lenny Wilkens.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered a lot of great things about him. Like, number one, to be involved in the NBA as long as he has, as long as he was, just even watching these videos and stuff like that, just to know how much of an impact he's had over, it seems like his entire life, you know, him being a player coach, him being a coach, and remembering him. I remember watching games that he coached as a little kid, and just knowing that, you know, he had such a high impact on the players that he coached, being a part of the top 75, and just being a stand-up guy. You know, like it continuously reminds me when unfortunate things like this happen, about how much older we're getting, how much, you know, we're going to lose these great players, coaches in the league. So it's really sad, you know, but you can definitely tell by the way that people talk about him. Everybody has nothing but great things to say about him. So you can tell that he's lived a full life, and he's lived a great life as well. So, I mean, it's definitely a sad day when you have to, you know, kind of start to see some of these greats go home. But definitely prayers out to his family and friends.
Right.
Yeah, man. Just, you know, every time somebody of this stature passes away, the first thing that comes to my mind is just the knowledge that leaves with them. You know, it's gone forever, and we can never recover it. But you know, his resume speaks for itself. He was named to the top 50 players, top 75 players list, and the top 15 coaches list. I mean, just that's crazy in itself. Just to have that type of impact on the court and on the sideline. You know, also just being one of the forefathers of the Seattle basketball scene, you know, which is, you know, just has a rich history in itself. I mean, we could list his accolades and contributions all day, man. But yeah, man, I'm sure the you know, the NBA family is reeling. Like Octavia said, he's been a part of the association for decades, and his contribution just can't be measured. You know, but I just hope again that, you know, with this, people just kind of go back and revisit what he did, because, you know, especially with the state of media and quote unquote journalism, we live in a dangerous time of erasing history. And the league just wouldn't be where it is without guys like Lenny Wilkens. So again, yeah, just you know, prayers to his family and loved ones and everybody affected by his death. It's definitely a tragedy.
Wilson.
To piggyback off of both Octavia and Ray, he defined NBA lifer. Like, you read off his accomplishments as a player, the list as a coach, damn near just as long, if not more. Yeah, as Octavia mentioned, like growing up, even you know we all grew up watching what's it called, NBA on NBC on Sundays and stuff. Like, saw Lenny Wilkens on a regular basis. I know during one of these clips, I felt super old for a second. Saw Lenny Wilkens and Terrell Brandon, and I was like, oh man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't even think of the league without Lenny Wilkens being like tied to some moment in it. Go back to some of the Olympic teams, like he was assistant coaches on huge Olympic teams. Was it 4-time? I think it's an all-star coach. He's just interlaced with the game of basketball, with NBA basketball, man. And as you guys said, obviously, you know, prayers out to his family and his loved ones. But once again, the game's lost a giant. Yeah, just that's right. Like, you can't even. There's so much stuff during that time. From his if you go from his playing days throughout his coaching career, like, he's been around for so much in the NBA. Like, it souls just so much.
Yeah, like all y'all said, man, just a huge hit to the NBA. Like, in addition to what y'all said, one thing he's the godfather of Seattle basketball. You know, when he was coaching and leading the Sonics to championship heights. A lot of people don't understand at that time the league wasn't what it is now, where it's kind of just running on its own. They had to get out in the community and really put in work to draw fans to come see them, to promote the game, go on the hood, do clinics and all that stuff. Like even as late as the 90s, I remember the Bullets used to do it, with Michael Adams, and that's my first interaction with an NBA player. Came to Southern Ave, Hillcrest Heights Rec, and they just came in there and just put on a clinic and showed us how to do drills and stuff and had us participate. And for a lot of us at the time, we couldn't afford to go to NBA games. That was our only interaction to seeing an NBA player, unless we had cable to watch them on TV. So you don't understand how that can inspire people. You know what I mean? Just even seeing this, 6, 7 years old, you seeing the size of these guys. You know what I mean? That you don't see every day. And then the exhibitions that they're doing, the type of shots, the skill work. It's inspiring. Lenny brought that to Seattle, and it inspired the Gary Paytons and the Jason Kidds and the Doug Christies, and then it passed down to Jamal Crawford and all that. Like, it all kind of started with him and the team, man. And another thing that he don't get a lot of credit for, he developed some lethal, great point guards throughout his time. You can go to the Sonics game with Gus Williams and the late, great Dennis Johnson. A lot of people remember Dennis Johnson when he was with the point guard with the Celtics and was one of he was a star point guard, and he was one of the great defenders in the league and whatnot. But really, he was putting in work with the Sonics before he got to the Celtics. They won the championship with the Sonics. They were in the backcourt. Then when Lenny went to Cleveland, Mark Price, you brought up Terrell Brandon. And then people forget this name in Atlanta in the mid-'90s, Mookie Blaylock, who was a bad boy. You feel what I'm saying? On both ends of the floor. A couple weeks ago, I watched the whole game. Man, he gave AI and Philly damn near a quadruple double. Like he was giving AI some fits on defense, man. So it just shows you the type of point guards that he developed over his time, along with his other contributions. He was even the head coach of the Toronto Raptors team that that 01 Sixers team where AI won MVP that year when they went toe-to-toe and won 7 games. He was the head coach of those teams, man. So man, he's made a hell of an impact. But the one thing I think you could take from him that you see that everybody that has spoken about him since his passing seemed to kind of reiterate is he was a man of integrity. And in this business, there's not many people you can say that. Like, he just carried integrity all the way through his run. And if people can say that about you when God calls you home, that means you did a hell of a job, man. He definitely did a hell of a job, man. So again, like what Ray said, man, you got to cherish our OGs, the legends of the game, because once they're gone, they're gone. And it's nothing you can do to try to get that information back. And instead of just putting them down, especially, like a lot of people now, they think it's cool to just trash those areas and stuff. And most of these people that do that were never that nice enough to even trash anything basketball related. It's just disrespectful and distasteful. But at the end of the day, we lose because now the information is not being passed down. And you starting to see how the game is suffering because the information and those standards aren't being passed down. And you got people coming in trying to, kind of just establish new watered down standards and stuff like that. And that's why the game is in a, it's in a solid place, but it could be better. And if we don't correct that and cherish the OGs and pass that knowledge down, it's going to be on shaky ground soon enough. All right, we're going to move forward. And I hate to keep it on this somber move where, we got to pay respects. And on the NBA side, 4-time NBA All-Star Michael Ray Richardson, who was banned from the league for drug use, died today in Lawton, Oklahoma at the age of 70, shortly after getting diagnosed with prostate cancer. His attorney and friend, John Zelps, told Anscape, quote, that basketball world, anyone Michael came in contact with lost a great sportsman. Zelps said he lived a life to the fullest. He overcame the most incredible odds to accomplish what he did in life. He serves as an example on how to redeem yourself and make something of yourself. I think he is the greatest NBA player that has never been inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame. Incredible player, person, and family man. The Denver native started at the University of Montana before being selected by the Knicks with the 4th overall pick in the 78 NBA draft. He was nicknamed Sugar. Had an 8-year NBA career with the Knicks, Golden State Warriors, and New Jersey Nets, earning 4 All-Star selections while leading the NBA in steals 3 times. The 85 NBA Comeback Player of the Year, also averaged a career high 20.1 points, 8.2 assists, 5.6 rebounds, and the league best 3 steals per game for the Nets during the 84-85 season. Quote, he had it all as a player with no weaknesses in his game. Former Detroit Piston guard Isaiah Thomas, Naismith Hall of Famer Todansky. He is the player who gave me the most problems playing against him. He was taller, just as fast, and could shoot from 3 and mid-range. His postal game was elite. Offensively, he had it all. Quote, back when he played in the NBA, the best guards were Magic Johnson and then Sugar. Former NBA guard Quinn Buckner said. Richardson, like I said previously, however, was banned from the NBA in 1986 for violating the league's drug policy for a 3rd time. The 2-time NBA All-Defensive First-Team selection had substance abuse problems stemming from cocaine use. After being banned from the NBA, he had a short stint in the CBA before starring professionally, primarily in Italy and France. Richardson retired from professional basketball in 2002 after playing for the AC Golf Juan Lourdes in France. Ray, we're going to start with you, man. What's your thoughts on, obviously, he passed away, but just his career and what he had to overcome to have a sustained professional career?
Yeah, man, I think that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me. Obviously dealing with some off-court things that could have ended his career, to be honest. But he was able to fight back and extend his playing days. Even though it was outside the NBA, he was still able to to make a living playing basketball. But he's one of those forgotten players that kind of slipped through the cracks. You laid out his accomplishments and what others had to say about him after beat against them. He got it done at a high level on both ends. One of the best defenders of the 80s. Kind of like in the same vein as a Sidney Moncrief. The guys that just did it on offense and defense. And this is, again, it sucks that it has to be because he passed away, but his dominance being brought to light just is another opportunity for people to kind of learn about the game before the present, because he was tough. There's no disputing that. And when a guy like Isaiah Thomas says what he said about him, that speaks volumes. So, again, man, unfortunately he wasn't able to get his flowers while he was here. But with this, maybe somebody learned something new about a great player from yesteryear that kind of had their NBA career cut short due to some outside things he was dealing with. But yeah, man, just a tough player, man. Nobody could ever take that away from him, and definitely sad to see him go.
Wilson.
Just echoing Ray's sentiments, just sad to lose another member of that community. Again, back when you didn't have to use the term two-way player to describe somebody because it just came with the territory. Was a very well-rounded player. Got it done on both ends. You shared some of the words from the folks that had to go against him between the lines. Yeah, he was really like that. I hope one of the things that does come out of these tragedies, obviously to a lesser extent, obviously would rather both of the people be here. Just some people just take the time, man, to watch, to learn, if you can, what you can glean from people who got it done at that level. You already talked about, both you and Ray mentioned what he had to face off the court. The mental fortitude to deal with those things and get back. It's a different time. We knew what the league was like during that time. Obviously, many people have talked about it, but I'm sick of losing so many people. It's been a lot the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just feels like it's every few months, man. But that's all I would hope. People just take the time. Even if today, watching our program is the first time you hear his name, hit the Google, hit the AI, like the deep AI mode. Go learn something. Turn on some clips. We're in the information age, y'all. Like, there's no excuse. You can find almost anything. So please take the time to do so.
Octavian.
Yeah, just to echo what you guys said, I think what stands out the most to me is just it shows the willingness to, always have a bounce back, like to go through the things that he went through off the court, to be banned from the league and still have the fortitude to keep and turn your life around, to be honest. I'm sure it wasn't easy for him, but that shows a lot of resilience that he had. And you could tell that he had that somewhere deep inside. Of course, in order to become a professional basketball player, you have to have some type of resilience. But substance abuse is a tough thing to get over. So for him to have that willpower to do that, and then of course, like you've already stated, as far as his acumen on the court, and like you said, kind of being one of the slept on people that a lot of people didn't know about or hear about or talk about. And again, it's unfortunate that these situations happen, and this is what causes people to now know about him. So hopefully, like Wilson just stated as well, it also, has the younger generation, my generation included, because I'll be honest, I don't know everything about him, but this also piques my interest and continuously learn more. So just to, take that and run with it and learn more about these type of players, and especially those kids coming up that want to be good. It's hard to not be good, and it's hard to be good and not really know the history of the league that you're trying to get into. So, and again, like Wilson also said, we're in the information area. Like, it's easy to Google, it's easy to find it out. Of course, you want to make sure you're finding out the correct things and go to reputable sites and things of that sort. But I mean, the information is out there. So it's, again, sad. And like Wilson said, we are losing a lot of these people rapidly. It seems like we just talked about. I mean, I feel like this show alone, we've talked about 4 to 5 people who have passed away in the last couple of months or last couple of days, to be honest. So it just kind of puts things in perspective as well. So and I also looked up and I saw like he has 11 grandkids. It sounds like he has a really big family. So definitely make sure that sending prayers to them, because it's got to be hard to go through a death of somebody who had this type of impact on people, and to constantly have to hear things and hear whether it's good or bad, either or, but just hearing anything in a time of grief. So just making sure, hopefully they're doing well, and it's another big, like you said, loss to the NBA family.
Yeah, man. Just again, you gotta you gotta respect history, and like seeing this highlight, and y'all keep bringing up like how people got to study the game today. I don't think youngins today or people who just coming into basketball, it's not just youngins, it's grown people who just catching on too. I don't understand, like, for those of us who were involved with basketball as kids growing up, we older now, we had to put in a lot of work to learn about the history. It wasn't like just available. Like people, computers wasn't just around growing up, and all the internet wasn't just around like that. NBA TV didn't exist until 97, to the 50th year. And so we had to work hard. We had to go, the Circuit Cities, and I'm showing my age, the Best Buys and Blockbuster. You had to go get these VHS tapes and really work hard and study. You had to go to the bookstore, get magazines, grocery store, get the magazines to read. You had to really put in work to learn about people. Otherwise, you wouldn't really know. Now, you might have some older guys around, that tell you names to go study. But the best thing that happened to us at my age, because NBA TV came out when I was in middle school. So that was the best thing, like literally 24/7. Like, this highlights, you could just turn on and this will be on. Not current games, but like back in the day games. You could see Michael Ray Richardson. You could see Lenny Wilkens. You could see Big O, Bill Russell. They're just playing like if they were playing right now. So you could easily just, let me sit here and see what they really could do. And you be like, all right, they got a game. Let me record it so I can, just to study them even further and get those moves down and stuff like that. And then you realize if you watch it enough, man, they were doing a lot of the moves back then that guys at that time were doing, that guys today are stealing from those guys in the 90s and the 2000s and stuff. So it's one big copycat just move on, copycat ball of moves just being passed down generation to generation, man. And he's another one. What made him special, like with Isaiah Thomas 6'1". This dude was a 6'5" point guard at that time. I love when they like to say big point guards are just coming around there. He was a 6'5" point guard that strapped up. So think about his defensive versatility. He can guard 1 through 3. He could score from all three levels. He could pass. He could rebound. He was a dynamic all-around player, which is what you had to be back in the 80s. You couldn't be 1 or 2 dimensional and be in the league. You had to be able to do a lot of things good, if not great, to play in the league back then. And, you know, even how he failed with the cocaine abuse, which was, you know, just plaguing the league at that time, that David Stern went out his way to clean it up. You got to give OG John Lucas a lot of credit because he helped him get his career back on track because he failed. And he was the number 1 pick, and he was the guy leading the league in assists and stuff. And he was almost out of the league, and he got himself together. So the NBA hired him to kind of help get guys like Michael Ray Richardson back on track. And that's really the why John Lucas is so revered to this day. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of his pupils, in a sense that he helped get back on track, go to the CBA, get your career back on track, play in the NBA a little bit more, and then he went overseas, man. So one thing that you could look at, man, like when I say the OGs got the answers to the test, for instance, a lot of youngins, you know, I've talked to them, they get turned off because they think I'm saying, well, older guys always did everything right. And I'm like, nah, a lot of the reason why they got the answer to the test because they failed, they messed up, and they see you about to mess up. So they trying to give it to you before it gets to that point because, like, look, he was strong enough to bounce back from the cocaine use, get back on track, hoop again. A lot of guys weren't. A lot of guys were not. That's a hell of an addiction to be addicted to cocaine. I mean, think about how a lot of players in the league struggle to stay in shape, keep their weight because they're addicted to food. So imagine that type of addiction. Like, that's tough. So that tells you how strong he was to even just want to fight and come back because he could have easily gave in like, man, this life out because a lot of players did. I'm good. I don't care. You know, it is what it is. And it killed some players and it ruined their careers. He bounced back and was able to manage and get back to the pros and be productive, man. So if you had to sum his whole career up, his whole journey up, perseverance. That's what he represents, man. And that's what a lot of people should learn from. So players today that are struggling with some type of addiction, it ain't got to be drugs. It could be alcohol. It could be food. It could be, you know, your temper. You can't control your temper. Anything that you're struggling with, you could look at guys like him, read up on him, see what he had to do to conquer the demons so he can get back on track. And that's what I mean by the OGs had the answer to the test, and now we just lost one. You know what I mean? So, you know, hopefully a lot of people kind of take the time to, you know, check out, you know, his footage and his history and his journey because he could ball, man. He could really get in there. You know what I mean? And just to think, Isaiah went to war. He had a great playoff battle with Bernard King with the Knicks. Michael Ray Richardson, had he not got suspended, would have been on that team with Bernard King. And they'd have been rumbling with, like, dealing with both of them, and prime Bernard King and Michael Ray Richardson. That would have been tough. That would have been hell, dog. So, you know, but they trading him because of those drug problems. They got tired of it, man. So, you know, unfortunately lost, but he's in a better place and hopefully free. And he can, you know, just, you know, be with his loved ones and keep it moving, man. But, you know, his legacy live on. Hopefully the youngest, like I said, learn and apply it to their everyday life. Now we're gonna move on to some, you know, some other things. The Jaguars, man. I mean, it ain't positive, but God, we're here with some brutal news today. Rookie wide receiver Travis Hunter set to miss the remainder of the season after suffering a knee injury during practice in late October. The 22-year-old was placed on injured reserve with the initial outlook being that he will return at some point later this year. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case. Hunter underwent successful knee surgery to repair his LCL and has officially been ruled out for the remainder of his rookie campaign, man. He over 7 games, he played 67% of snaps on offense. Then he played 36% of the Jaguars snaps on defense. You know, I got to ask the inevitable question, man. Moving forward, should he just commit to one side of the ball, or should they just, you know, let him be great? Wilson, we're going to start with you.
First, just let him get healthy. Like, first, let him just get healthy. Honestly, like, I know the LCL is probably the least popular when people talk about like ACL and MCL injuries, but I think that one's on the outer. That's on the outer side of the knee, and I think they said that one kind of heals a little bit slower. So he has a long road to recovery ahead of him. But if he gets back and he can be himself again, I'm not opposed to him playing both sides. Just please have a better plan because you didn't. It just didn't. You didn't optimize it. It didn't make any sense. So like my whole thing is, I'm sure there's a case. I'm sure many people are like, well, if he just plays one thing, there's less chance of an injury. Possibly, but with the Jaguars, again, I hate to be that person, but are you going to optimize him if he only plays one side of the ball? Are you going to mess that up too? I don't know what y'all have going on, but prayers in for a speedy recovery. I want him to get back. But even when this year is just they couldn't figure out how to use him and Brian Thomas Jr. together. Like I don't know what they got going on. I guess it was hard to throw two people the ball, like both vertically. I didn't know you had to choose, but I hope he gets back. But yeah, I'm not against him playing both sides of the ball. Just make it make sense. Like it was just weird. Like when they had him on offense, it was like only gadget stuff. And if we know that at home, I'm sure other teams know it. But like he's if Brian Thomas Jr. is a freak athlete, what the hell do you think Travis Hunter is? How do you not use Travis Hunter vertically? Like again, shout out to the Jaguars, but I just wish speedy recovery. Yeah.
Octavian.
Yeah, I'm a little on the fence as far as making the decision if he should just stick to one side of the ball. I do agree with Wilson that we need to see him get healthy first before I feel like any concrete decision should be made. I feel like because of the organization that he's in, I would rather him stick to one side. I feel like if he was in a better organization and a better franchise, that maybe I would have a little bit more confidence in, like Wilson also stated, the usage of him and the plan for him and the minds around him. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been the Jacksonville Jaguars for the last however many years. So I don't know how much I trust them with something as big as a player playing two ways. A new coach as well, a new head coach as well. I don't know if the decision making that they're making is going to be conducive to keeping him healthy while doing so. Obviously, we know that there's a difference of him doing it in college versus him doing it in the league. Bigger, faster, stronger, and that's going to also take a toll on him. So that's why I say I'm kind of on the fence because, I mean, it's also kind of concerning that he didn't even make it through his rookie season doing it. For me to have confidence that he could do it long-term into his career. I mean, I get it. I just think it's more practical just to focus your time on one thing and become really, really great at that one thing. And I mean, I think they've said it a lot. It's not too many lockdown corners out here. And if he could focus on being a lockdown corner, he can make lockdown corner money. And I mean, why else are you playing the game outside of the love for it? But you want to get paid and you want to make sure that you can sustain yourself and, you're putting your body on the line, as we already see for him early on in his career. So hopefully he makes the decision that's best for him, because I think ultimately, he has to make that decision. But also, I hope that there is somebody in his ear that is also helping him out make those decisions, because sometimes you got to protect the player from themselves.
Ray.
Yeah, like Octavian Wilson said, first get him back on the field, get him back to 100%, and then I think I kind of would like to see him focus on one thing. Yeah, I think Octavian brought up a good point. Make yourself invaluable in an area and just have tunnel vision on that. It's cool to have that on your resume, playing both sides or what have you. But yeah, especially in this situation, like they weren't even putting him in a position to be successful at wideout. So I personally think he's a better corner. So just do what you do well, man. But if something opens up and there's an avenue for him to be successful doing both, then sure. But yeah, I would think that if it were me, I would just have him focus on one side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards what you're saying, right? Because it's fine. You gave it a shot, you know what I mean? But I feel like one side is taken away from what he is mainly great at, and I think that's defense. You know what I mean? I think that's where he's special at, with his athleticism, how he can cover ground and do what he need to do. Now, you can do it like Deion, bring him in certain packages and stuff. I'm not saying totally get rid of it, but doing it full time, nah, it's just you seeing what's happening already. And I had an LCL tear when I blew on my knee in college, and I partially tore back in my 30s and stuff. And it's different grades, like you tear your ligaments in your ankle is different grades, and based on that, it would take different time to heal. I believe they say what his was 6 weeks. I believe said they're taking about 6 weeks. Well, no, they didn't even give us a timetable. They just said he'd be out for the remainder of the season. So he got surgery. So I'm assuming it was a grade 3 tear, which is the most severe. So that's gonna be a few months, and then you got to rehab it and all that stuff like that. What it does is it's like constant. It's like somebody, honestly, it feels like somebody stabbing you in the side of your knee. Whenever you try to move, that's your lateral collateral ligament. It feels like somebody stabbing you in the side of your knee. And obviously, playing football, but definitely playing the defensive back, you got to be able to move laterally and explode and do all that. So that was a no-go. And if you compromise that, you know what else you're about to compromise, the MCLs and the ACLs and all that's going to go. You don't want those problems. He should be able to recover, just build up his quads, but you got to be smart, man. And one thing, as crooked as the NFL could be with contract negotiations, with his lack of, where they use that against him, he's playing on both ends of the ball. When he tried to negotiate the contract, where they say, well, you shouldn't get paid, top dollar for being a defensive back, because you never really had the production that the other top defensive backs have. You ain't had the production the other wide receivers have. So they try to get at him that way and play with him like that. And that's something he got to keep in mind moving forward. Because they damn sure ain't trying to pay. Let's say he do emerge as one of the top wide receivers and cornerbacks at the same time. They're not going to try to pay him like it. They're not. We already know how this goes with the NFL. So I think he should just be smart. And I hate to say that, because I'm one of them guys, man. Like, if you could do it, do it. Like, I hate holding athletes back. If you could do multiple things, do it. But you already breaking down. You didn't even finish your rookie year. So, and that's what all the other defensive backs that's analysts now were kind of saying. It's like, it's gonna be too much punishment. And he took some violent falls, like trying to catch the ball. Like, he would go up over 2-3 dudes and just come down and don't even just fall on them or fall on the ground. And yeah, when you're young, you feel like you're invincible. But when the injuries start to pile up, you start to realize I ain't invincible, because you spend more time rehabbing and then on the surgery table than you are on the field, and it gets old. And then that could take an impact and hit you right here. So just be smart moving forward, man, and then just commit to one side, because I think he could be I think he could be way more special on the defensive end than wide receiver, man. Yeah, and just use them in certain packages when they need them, man, just like they did Deion. Last but not least, before we get out of here, we got to go there, man. Dallas Mavericks, man. GM Nico Harrison fired earlier today. Decision was made after a Tuesday morning meeting between Harrison and team governor Patrick Dumont. Quote, this decision reflects our continued commitment to building a championship caliber organization, one that delivers for our players, our partners, and most importantly, our fans, Dumont said in a statement. Assistant GM Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi have been promoted to lead the Mavs basketball operations department on an interim basis. Harrison has been under fire from Mavericks fans since he stunningly traded Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers on February 2nd, months removed from the then 25-year-old 5-time first-team All-NBA selection, leading the franchise to an NBA Finals appearance. That trade, in which Dallas received Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and 29 first-round pick in return, prompted fan protests outside American Airlines Center on the night of the deal and before the team's next home game. That angst never dissipated, as fire deco chants have frequently been heard ever since at the team's home games, including Monday's night loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. Dumont addressed his reasoning for the move in a letter to the team's fans Tuesday. Quote, no one associated with the Mavericks organization is happy with the start of what we all believe will be a promising season. You have high expectations for the Mavericks, and I share them with you. When the results don't meet the expectation, it's my responsibility to act. Though the majority of the 25-26 season remains to be played, and I know our players are deeply committed to a winning culture, this decision was critical to moving our franchise forward in a positive direction. Man, yeah, Octavia, we back on you, man. We just with your thoughts on Nico getting the axe. It's so many layers to this. And do you believe Nico initiated this, or do you believe Dumont was the one that was like, yeah, go ahead and move, because we ain't trying to pay that brother?
No, I don't think Nico initiated it, because I think life comes at you really, really fast. At one point, he was defending himself of why he decided to trade Luka. Then, he kind of got saved with the number 1 pick and got Cooper Flag, and life's just not doing what he thought it was going to do. And then to add insult to injury, Luka lost all the weight. He looks more locked in than ever. The Lakers are winning games without LeBron, and Austin Reeves is scoring 51 points and whatnot. And I just think the optics have gotten too bad for them at this point, where it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you have to make the decision and say, like, okay, we did something wrong. We got to stop what we're doing and fix it, instead of just keep going with the bad thing. Now, I think it's a little bit different when you talk about in the front office, because the bad thing has already happened and you can't go back. But at this point, I understand you're trying to hold the person accountable for said act. So I get it. And it's hard for me to try, like, again, I never advocate for anybody to get fired, but it's also hard for me to want to advocate to have given the Mavericks a little more time this year. I mean, Kyrie's not back. I don't really know. So I was like, I don't know how much length they would have given him, because again, like you said, this move was made on February 2nd. Now, granted, that was close to the end of the season last year. Now we're in the beginning portions of this season. I would have liked to see them give him a little bit more rope if you were already in it, but I understand the decision, and good luck to them going forward, because it's not fun down there in Dallas in the sports fronts, it looks like.
Yeah, and it definitely no help that Luka's averaging 37, 9, and 9. God damn. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, a player like Luka doesn't get traded unless the top of the top signs off on it. So, yeah, that came from above Nico. He's just the fall guy. We can just be honest about that. I knew he was on borrowed time once the trade was announced. The only thing that was going to save it was winning a championship, and that didn't happen. And the slow start to this year, although Octavia pointed out the injuries and all that, but we knew he was public enemy number 1 as soon as the ink dried on that deal. And I mean, obviously he knew it as well. But when your boss tells you to do something, you got to do it. And he was made the face of the move, and he's got to fall on his sword, basically. So, we'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, this is a mess. So yeah, it's not really too much more to it than that for me. Yeah, hopefully we get to see them whole at some point and see what type of team they can be. But yeah, this is. I think everybody knew this was going to happen eventually.
Wilson.
Yeah, Mr. Dumont's a funny guy. Just hilarious guy. So you're telling me you part of ownership. Somebody suggested something to you, so you just acquiesced to their request. You didn't say hell no, get out my office, you're crazy, you're nuts. You said yes, Nico. That's that under that premise. That's what I'm supposed to go with. He stuck you up, and you were just like, I have to do it. Like, come on, man. That's at least give me I feel like I'm owed a better excuse than this. Give me a better cover story than this. He brought it up. All right, so a fan could have brought it up. What do that mean? So what? Your kid could have brought it up. There was 97 different ways to say no. Also, I guarantee you, if Cooper Flag, and it's not a knock on Cooper, but if Cooper started this season the way with the buzz that VJ Edgecombe started this season, you'd be front and center, proud of the decision that you kicked. You know, like, oh yeah, this was me. You probably wouldn't even let Nico take credit for Nico's idea if this was the case. Again, just going along with your thoughts. Come on, man. 1 + 1 is not 8. This is horrible. And then soon as maybe now everyone's looking at it, it's look over there. But again, you had the fall guy. You had the fall guy last year. It was just a matter of somebody pressing the button, execute it. And I guess November 11th was the day. Who knew? 11th day of November, you were like, all right, someone got to take the L. Well, not someone, but Nico, it's time to take the L. But like, it's just comical, man. Like, Nico can't make it's not like he went rogue. Like what are you insinuating? That he came up with it on his own, made the deal, and you found out about it after Luka was like Luka just came and said bye, and you had no idea what happened. And then, like you said, Carter, what is that? 37, 9-9? Yeah, 37, 9-9 on 49% shooting from the floor. Also, mind you, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm trying to show growth of being an adult. But you were talking greasy after the trade. Talk about people's fitness levels and all this other stuff. Also, like, if you just didn't want to pay, I need you to stand on it. You didn't have to pay him. That's your choice as part of ownership. Like, that's a part of being owner. That's your choice. But stand on it, sir. You can't do all that, get to here and be like, whew, this is tough. Like, who foresaw this? You didn't have to do any of it. So, I guess, but yeah, I mean, Nico knew this was coming, last year when the trade got made. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, I feel like I'm owed a better cover story, and I'm not a Mavs fan. So I can only imagine how they feel.
Yeah, man. Everything y'all said, it's kind of getting old for other front office execs to take the fall for the ineptitude of ownership. I really believe they just didn't want to give Luka that super max like Shea and all that. I really think that's what it was. Now, if I'm Nico, if I'm forced to do it, best believe we'd have got more than Anthony Davis, and I can't trade for a guy that's always injured. That's just not going to work. But I definitely would have gutted somebody team. Like, you want to come up off a lot. I probably asked with LeBron. I need LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves, all that, and 2 first-round picks. I'd have had to, man, just to make sure we covered. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't think we'll ever truly know how this all unraveled. But I just can't bring myself to really see Nico. As long as he's been around basketball, he was working in Nike, dealing with everybody at Nike, man. I can't really see myself seeing him just be like, hey, man, I think we need to trade Luka because he won't get in tip-top shape at 25. That just don't even sound right, man. When I'm pretty sure they've dealt with far worse when it comes to players who's not even half as good. Because even with that, out of shape Luka will still give you like 25, 9-9 or something. So that's still better than more than the majority of the league, man. And then the abuse he took, even publicly, like he can't eat at restaurants, man. People coming up to him, giving him middle finger, cussing him out and stuff like that. Man, he got a lot of restraint. I probably would have called a case. That is unnecessary. What I think kind of really what happened is what you see with a lot of these new owners. They come in a little bit arrogant, just trying to make a big splash, not understanding what's already been built over the last few years and not understanding the dynamics of just basketball in general, that you can't just go get pieces, put them together and just win like that. It takes time to build chemistry stuff. And I think they just wanted to make a big splash, and they really didn't take their time to see what was going on, didn't really evaluate everything, the totality of everything. For one, Luka's impact with the community down there. I think they underestimated, if you traded him, how much damage it would be. So they had to save face and make him the fall guy, so people can be like, "Oh yeah, it's cool to go back to the Mavs games and cheer," but it still don't change the fact that Luka's gone, and y'all still 3-8. So y'all still got to wait for AD and Kyrie to get healthy. Cooper's gonna be fine. He's still only 18 years old. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be all world, but it's gonna take time for him to become all world. I look. I wish more of these guys that's in charge would be more like Pat Riley. When Pat Riley make a move, yeah, I did that. That wasn't Spo. That's me. And what? Own it. Be a manager's own it. If you want the organization to be ran at a championship level, isn't accountability a key ingredient to being a championship culture? So it starts at the top. Be accountable. Just hold it. Like, yeah, I made a mistake, man. It is what it is. But we're going to definitely try to correct this mistake and keep it moving. And who's to say down the line, like when this team get healthy, they don't go on around. You don't know. That's the thing about trades. You can't really evaluate it till down the line. You know what I'm saying? So like like you look at the Timberwolves, they traded Cat for Julius Randle. People's like more on the field, like, why would you get rid of Cat? Y'all just made it to the Western Conference Finals. And then you look up and it's like, well, the trade was good for both teams. Sometimes that's the case. So, I mean, I just don't like how he, it's all on him because it's never just all on him. Like, it's no way he could just go rogue and just be like, I could just do that. That's career suicide in a sense. But, on the other hand, I am happy that, Michael Finley's getting a shot. You rarely see players kind of get that opportunity to lead a franchise, especially one of his caliber, being an all-star, multiple-time all-star. And he's been putting in work in the front office for years. So I'm happy he finally get his shot. To show what he can do, man. So that that's another addition that I don't think a lot of people are another layer that a lot of people are talking about. But with that being said, man, it's just disheartening that they went out like that, man, because he got crucified. Like I haven't seen when the last time y'all seen a GM just get ran out of town like treated like that in the NBA? It's been a while, man. I can't. Maybe you got to probably go all the way back to maybe Jerry Krause with the Jordan stuff, breaking up the Bulls or something. It probably got to be something like that. But even that was all 6 championships. You can understand that this is different. That is just, and I get it, because what if Jerry Krause would have got the job with the Bulls and traded Jordan at 25? All hell would have broke loose in Chicago. So he just ain't. The owners, I felt like, didn't read the room right. Even Mark Cuban, he didn't want to get into it, but you could see him hinting towards it. It's like, yeah, ain't no way in hell this would have went down if I was still on it. Like, it's just not going to happen, dog. Like you would have to give up so much to get Luka at 25 years old. He ain't even in his prime yet. You have to give up so much to get him, bro. You'd be like, nah, we good. He's untradeable. And you saw when that move was made, how other superstars in the league was like, got shook. Oh, damn, if he can get traded, so can I. You see what I'm saying? So that's how big of a blow that was, man. But, it is what it is. We're going to see how things move forward, man. Because I feel like if they keep losing and things don't get better, the owner's going to feel the heat next.
Yeah, there's no one else for them to focus their ire on. You get one fire the scapegoat button, and you press it.
Oh, they could do the narrative thing. Jason Kidd, his coaching, it's just not up to. They could do the narrative.
You're right. I'm sorry. Then after that, you're done. After that, I think you're out of. It's their fault, but man, that's just crazy. It's that's just sad. Like, if you're gonna do something, do something. Like this is typically NBA, NFL are apart, worlds apart, and how they go about their business. This is NFL type activity happening in the association. This is peak. I traded 3 first-round picks for this, and I probably shouldn't have did it, so now I'm getting fired. And here we are. Right? You just gave that away. And like you said, time will tell, but you didn't have, you never had to do any of this. But again, I'm sure for Nico, I'm sure he's happy to be up out of there. Because like you said, I don't know how to react. I can't just live life and exist without somebody saying something anywhere I'm at. Like they said something where they have like a was it like almost got a moving staircase for him, so he can leave from that, the arena level whenever he needs to. Like, that's absurd.
And they took it recently, so he couldn't escape. So that tells you what was about to go down, man. I know he I should just stay that Nike, dog.
Well, look, man, we appreciate y'all as always. Don't forget to get over to the channel if you got a Roku television device. Same thing with Amazon Fire TV. All you have to do is go into the App Store, type in the Focus TV, and add the channel. We will see you guys next week, same time, same place as always. Wizards Outlooks, folks. We will see you later a couple more times this week, for sure.